That's a very interesting question. Now, let me give the audience, our viewers, an easy example that they can relate to, and then that will answer your question. Let's look at cholera. Cholera is a disease which causes severe diarrhea, severe dehydration. It's caused millions of deaths all around the world, including in our country, especially during the great famine that our country went through many years ago. Cholera is not to be taken lightly. But cholera was controlled not through antibiotics. We have very effective antibiotics against cholera. Man conquered cholera by getting control of its environment. Cholera is a bacteria that spreads through unclean water or through water that's been contaminated with fecal material. So when man was able to make clean water available, clean drinking water, which is mainly through chlorination, the cholera went away. So the lesson is, even if you have very effective antibiotics, they are not going to stop a, a spread of a pathogen in an area, in a large area. What is needed is something called public health measures. What I gave you is a simple example of a public health measure that can get rid of cholera, for example, and also, say, for example, for malaria. You get rid of the mosquito, that's the way to get rid of malaria, because the mosquito carries the malarial parasite. Now let's come to SARS-CoV-2 virus, or the COVID virus, if you will. COVID virus spreads through the air, and our best bet to stop this pathogen from entering our nose and throat is to wear a mask. That's the reality of it. Whether it is convenient or not is a different story. This virus especially spreads in indoor spaces where people are having conversation. And conversation commonly happens during family reunions, when friends meet up, inside restaurants, or during business meetings, or during festivities, particularly when they happen in closed rooms. So when a person who's infected is talking, like I'm talking now, if I'm infected, the virus will spread in the air around me, and whoever is sharing the space with me will inhale the virus and get infected. And the way to prevent that is for me to wear a mask and for the other people to wear a mask while sharing indoor spaces. Now, that's extremely important. And while wearing masks, it's important not to leave a gap on the side of the mask. We all have different shaped faces and noses and jaws. So we should find a mask that fits nicely. It's comfortable for us. We should be able to breathe and talk nicely while wearing it. And that is the best way to stop this virus from spreading, especially from indoor spaces. Now, I know it's not possible or practical and in every instance, but if we stay away from indoor gatherings, especially during a surge, that will also help. So it is not just the type of mask, but it's also the fit of the mask, when we choose to wear it, and when we remove it. Those are situations that will decide on whether the virus spreads or not. For example, in a hospital, healthcare workers are getting infected. You know where they're getting infected? A common place where healthcare workers get infected is in the canteen, where they sit down, let their hair down, take a few deep breaths, remove the mask, and have a conversation with their friends while sharing a meal. And that's a common situation where this virus spreads. Again, it's inconvenient. So the solution there will be to sit at a separate table and eat alone. I know it sounds boring, but these are ways in which we must take it forward. Bottom line, masks are effective, particularly when we are around other people who could be carrying the virus without their knowledge.
Thank you, Doctor. I think Professor Abraham got disconnected for some issue, so maybe internet related issues. Uh, the next question, Doctor, is tell us something about the post COVID complications that may occur. Okay, we had seen that last year, especially after the second surge. So, what sort of post COVID complications are being seen now?
Well, post-COVID complications can occur in two formats. If someone who was in ICU with severe lung damage gets survives the illness and goes home, yes, they could have complications as a result of the organ damage that occurred from COVID-19. Or someone who had a stroke or someone who had a heart attack as a result of COVID-19 could have complications afterwards. Now, that is not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about what is called post-COVID that occurs in the everyday infection that happens to people who are at home, for example, or at work, or some people who may not even know that they have the infection. In such cases, about 5% of cases, some cities may report bigger numbers, but that's controversial. But approximately 5% of individuals who pick up an infection of COVID-19 develop what is called long COVID-related symptoms, and they can be fatigue, tiredness. Some people have breathing trouble when they go up the stairs, and that has commonly happened among younger people who were previously healthy. And then there are some individuals who can't concentrate. We call it brain fog, where they tend to get a little forgetful, and they may forget names, and they may not be able to focus on certain tasks, and they feel tired. Some people get body aches, and so these are some symptoms which are called long COVID. So this does occur in a sizable number of people, and I might add that this is not a new problem for virus infections. While even during our doctor training days, there were a large number of people who we saw in our outpatient who we had no idea what was causing their fatigue. These were young women, especially, who would come from villages, who would come with severe aches and pains throughout the body, and if you investigate them, nothing could be found. So it's quite possible that there are several viruses that are circulating in the community that after the infection, many of them are leaving people with such ill-defined symptoms. But fortunately, these are not life-threatening symptoms. While some of these can be rather disabling, we are hoping that with time, our body has the ability to heal and get rid of a lot of these. If people who are having these symptoms must perhaps pay a visit to their doctor, and speak with the doctor who has an interest in treating such conditions, and also undergo investigations as directed in each individual case. Not every individual might need an investigation, but sometimes a conversation will be reassuring.